Hi, gang. It's Keith Garrity, and tonight I'm talking to John Constantine. And I believe you're down in Tampa. Is that right?
So, so I was in Tampa for let's see, basically all my life. But I just moved out here to Las Vegas in the last year and a half.
Okay. Okay, great. How do you like it out there?
Yes, it's good. It's good. Definitely. I moved from Florida. One of the reasons for getting out was to get out of the heat, but I wasn't able to escape that. But different type of heat. So I'm learning what it's like to live in an oven.
Okay. Well, at least it's dry heat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, not
Oh
like
yeah.
down here. I'm up in Atlanta, which isn't as bad as Florida, but July, August, man, it's so thick you can cut the air with a knife, and
Yep.
it's just unpleasant. But that's just the way it is.
Oh yeah. I don't miss it. That humid feeling.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're in Las Vegas now. I mean, are you full time real estate investing? Do you have another job and you're doing this part time right now until you can get full time?
Yeah, so actually I started real estate investing back in 2015. And so I started out with the foreclosure markets. I was buying properties on at the auction house. And I did that for about 2 years. And then after about 2 years, I think I went like a whole year without getting a property
Hmm.
from there, just because how dried up it got. So I started like my own marketing company to start getting leads and getting houses. And so I started doing that for a while, and then during 2020 all the way up to 2022, I was like, man, this market is crazy. So I stopped buying houses in 2022. I sold it almost everything that I had
Hmm.
right there at the top, and moved out to Vegas. And now I'm going back in, doing it this sub two way, and looking to wholesale. I've done about 25 properties. I've mainly most of those were fix and flip,
Right.
and I have done a few wholesale deals out of those, and some long term, and I've done Airbnb, and I've kind of done a little bit of everything.
Okay. So, do you still have your Airbnb and your buy and holds?
So one of the Airbnbs I sold, I do have another. I still have one Airbnb, and I have one book buy and hold, and as of right now, I kind of used that. I used that marketing, because I was good at getting houses. So I kind of use that aspect, and I've started helping small businesses with leads, doing the SEO and the lead generation for them. And at the same time, now that I've really started mastering that, I'm now doing that for my own campaigns for real estate now. So I'm excited about that.
Wow, you can teach me a lot about that.
There's a lot. It's a rabbit hole, man. So,
I bet it is. And for those out there who don't know what SEO means, it means search engine optimization, correct?
yes,
And that
yes,
means putting in the right keywords, which are like magic, and they just draw people in because that's what they're
yes.
looking for, and they change. And so,
Yep.
how do you keep up with the SEO changes as far as the keywords go?
Well, it's crazy too, because it even gets further than that. I always thought it was like, okay, keywords, keywords, keywords. But one of the biggest things that was an eye opener to me is that there's these things called backlinks, which is basically when a website links to your site. Um, that's if that website that links to your website is a high authority website, which has good reputation in the eyes of Google, right?
Mm.
That actually helps your website a heck of a lot more than being built to the nines on your keywords. I mean, it still helps to have all of that together, but it's like, and it kind of makes sense if you think about it. How if they're doing this off of a computer or an algorithm, how are they going to know if a site has authority or not? How are they going to know if it's a reputable site? They have to use the whole ecosystem to see, okay, this site over here is a strong site, strong, reputable site, and they're linking to this site over here. They must know something about this keyword, right? So there's that's just one of the things, but it is still important to have your keywords in there, a certain density and interlinking and the architecture of your website and all that good stuff. But it kind of, it's a little interesting, and it takes the right person to geek out over it, because a lot of times people are like, just do it for me, man. Just do it for me, man.
I like geeking out, but it takes me a while to get up to speed sometimes. How did you learn all this? Were you a marketing major, or did you learn this somewhere else? Or you just kind of, I did it and I learned through trial and error?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of both. I mean, I did have marketing classes in school, but I would say like one of the biggest parts was when I did dry up there in the foreclosure market, I had to figure out how I was going to get that next house, right? I went 1 year trying to utilize the foreclosure market, and after house after house doing due diligence on them, and then it coming up to the auction date, and then it being pulled for whatever reason, whether it they pushed it down the road a little bit further, or the bank wanted way too much money at the time. So I had to force myself to learn other ways to get these other properties, and so I just dove in and started learning things, started implementing, testing, tweaking, and that's where I was like, oh wow, I mean, I was good at that. So on this little period that I wasn't buying, let me go and do this and help small businesses.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really impressive.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. Speaking of, I was going to ask you about Sub 2. You're a fellow Sub 2 community member. How did you come into Sub 2? What's your story there?
So I'm in the Gator tribe, but I'm not in Sub 2 yet. But how I found out about Pace in the group, I think it was 2021. Yeah, 2021 in Arizona. The All In guys, I don't know if you've heard of them, like Carlos Reyes. They did an All In little conference, little meetup, and Pace was there. And I just saw everybody with the Sub 2 hats, right? And the bunny hats. And so everybody I talked to a few of the guys, and they're like, yeah, you got to get in. And, I was planning on jumping in. I just never pulled the trigger. And then I kind of I think I followed Pace, and then from time to time I'd see his content, and then I saw the Gator stuff, and I was like, man, that sounds like, that's a good opportunity for me to at least get into the community. And so that's why I picked that up.
Yeah. That's awesome. Gator is very attractive to me too.
Yes.
The odds of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you taken the full course? Are you still, have you done anything with it at this point?
Man, so I have not gone through the full. I know I need to, but
it's a lot.
Yeah.
If and when you ever get into Sub 2, they have a vault, Sub 2 vault. I mean, I joined in 21, August of 21, and it was massive then. You just can't. It's just impossible.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, if I have a little glimpse of what it is now for Gator, man, I can't imagine how much content's in there that you can spend hours upon hours on.
Massive. I mean, if you were an individual saying, I want to pay for all this, you would have so much money. I would be questioning why. Why do you want to pay for this? You already have all this money.
Right.
Nobody could afford it. It would just be stupid.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
what are your struggles right now, and what do you need from the Gator community, since so many of them are also sub two. I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know if it's like 50-50 or what.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I want to kind of track back a little bit about the question of if I used Gator, because I have an interesting story
Yeah, tell it.
on that one. So from the decent amount that I've gone through that course, like I said, I'm not anywhere being close to finished with it, but some things that I picked up, I was able to use on a transaction in the end of last year. So I ended up buying a property, and uh, this lady, she wanted to stay in the property for a little bit while her fiance could come down and help move her to Tampa. So this was around Bradenton, the Bradenton area of Florida. Her boyfriend needed to come down and help her move to Tampa. And so she wanted to stay in the property a little bit afterwards, so that way, he could help her with the move. And I've never done that before. Like, I've always heard about the horror stories of letting people stay in the property. So typically, I've always, either extended the contract or did not do it at all. So this time I agreed to it because it was kind of like it was a deal breaker for her. And so one thing that I learned from the Gator course was that in certain states, even if, like, in certain states, you actually have to have it to where the seller in writing says they waive their right to release funds if something happens, right? So I ended up doing a $15,000 holdback on the property. So if she does not show, so she wanted 2 weeks to move out. I gave her a whole month to move out, just to go. I love going above and beyond. I just, putting good. I feel like putting good energy out there, you receive that good energy back. So I gave her a whole month. So it comes to the whole month mark, and she did not move out. Right. And luckily, before we actually finalized the contract and everything, or that was put through, I made sure I was going through the course. I learned from Pace that, hey, you need to have this actually written in the contract that you're using, that the seller or the person waives their right to sign for a release of funds, release of funds. So I put together an addendum real quick. I sent it to her. She signed it. Then we put it back to the title, or gave that to title. And then fast forward back to the 30 days. She's not moving out, and she does not want to release that $15,000. Right. So I go to title and I say, hey, no, it's been 30 days. I have it. And they're like, no, everybody has to sign off on it. And I said, no. Like, look at the addendum that I put in there. So they go look at the addendum and they're like, you're right. You're going to get that 15,000 sent to you. So if I did not have that extra little wording of what I learned from the Gator course, that $15,000 would have been sitting in escrow still to this day.
Yeah. Oh God. What did she give you why she wasn't moved out in 30 days?
So her fiance, she ended up, after closing, she took the money, cash, and mailed it to her fiance that was a scam artist. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yep.
So what are you going to do? Is she still in there, or are you going to rent it back to her?
Yeah. So as of right now, I'm doing a seller post occupancy. And so she's paying until we figure out her next move, or it might turn into something. I strongly believe everything happens for a reason. So this might turn into something where she wants to just stay there and have somebody that, can upkeep on the property and, her just stay there, or if she wants to move in with family members or however she decides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely working with her on it, but at the same time, it kind of helps me out as well because it's cash flowing for me,
Right.
which is probably what I was going to do with it in the first place. So it's kind of like a win-win in that situation. I mean, it's unfortunate that happened to her, but it's also fortunate for her that I didn't just kick her out or evict her or anything after all of that happening, because some of the investors out there, can get pretty interesting with their methods.
Pretty cold. This is
Yeah.
business, strictly
Yep.
business. This is what we agreed on. We're doing this. Wow. Man, I feel bad for her, but golly, sending cash to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess they're not. She's not. He's not her fiance anymore. I guess.
Nope. No. Nope. Not at all.
Or God Almighty. Um, well, that was excellent. That is something interesting. Post possession is something I don't do very often, but you did it right, and that's all that matters. And she still has a place to live. So,
Yeah.
Like you said, it could have been worse for her.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have any other interesting stories like that?
Man. Oh, geez.
You don't have to tell them if you don't want to.
Yeah. So I have a. Yeah, I guess I can go ahead and do that. I was going to say I shared one on a podcast earlier, but this one's fresh, right? So, yeah. So my Airbnb, one of my first one that I ever had actually came from a neighbor. So one day he just, I had moved in. I used the marketing tactics to get this house and then I just decided like, hey, I like that area. Let me move into that house. So I moved into that house. Probably like I was only in there for like a couple months, and my neighbor comes over to meet me, and he was like, "Hey, actually, hey, how you doing? I'm your neighbor over here." And he was like, "I'm curious, like, do you know a flipper or anybody that renovates properties?" And I was like, "Yeah, me." Like, he's like, "Okay, well, I need to sell my house," and I was like, "All right, perfect." So I ended up buying that property from him. I ended up furnishing it for Airbnb. That was, that was the hot thing at the time. So I was ready to get an Airbnb property, and that was going to be my first one. So got that up and going. Now this was when I launched it. It was January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I get everything booked up. I'm going through. I'm getting the bookings. I'm getting the money coming in, and this is then COVID happens, and then COVID ends up they start canceling everybody's bookings, right?
Right.
And so I was like, man, this is interesting. Like, I just started this property up, and now it's like can't even can't even, I have to come out of pocket for the mortgage, right? So that passes a little bit. I'm doing good, get everything back up and going. They start easing off on stuff, and then this is probably about 6 months later, I get a call from my neighbor, or the neighbor that lives across the street, and was like, "John, why are the cops outside your house?" And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, walk up to the window, look out, no cops. I'm like, what the heck? I was like, my neighbor's playing a joke with me or something, playing a joke on me. And then I go back to working, and then I hear something like outside. I'm like, wait a second. So I go outside. I look over to my Airbnb to the left, because it was on the left of me. There's like 7 blacked out SUVs on the road right in front of my Airbnb. it was the DEA,
Yeah.
and they busted into my property because they're doing a drug bust on this guy. I talked to one of my neighbors after the fact a couple of days later, and they were like, "John, it was just like the movies. Like I was actually driving home, and I saw the guy running, and running, and he tackles the guy on the ground." And I was like, man. But with all of those 7 SUVs, the main guy that they were there to get, still got away. But
Are you kidding me?
yeah,
7?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
he ran out the back, jumped the fence into the neighbor's yard, and just booked it, and he got away. And yeah, after that, Airbnb shut me down for no explanation. VRBO shut me down for no explanation, and I was like, Yeah, at that time the market was getting pretty hot, like really hot, like even like what the heck, this is crazy how these houses that used to go for this are now going for double, right? So it's like, well, maybe this is a sign, and I put it up for a price that I thought was overvaluing it, and it ended up selling. So that's my first Airbnb.
Was that it's you may not know this, but the guy that was running the Airbnb, was he just renting it for the weekend? Was he a long-term one? Like, hey, I want to be here for 3 months and just
That was one week, and it was actually the last day. But he was going to extend for another. I think it was another week. He was going to extend. He wanted to extend for another week, and I said, "Yeah, we can do that." So I approved that, and then the next day is when they went in there.
huh. Hmm. Well, I didn't know Airbnb and the other company. I can never remember the name. VRBO,
Yeah,
VBO.
I don't even know. I keep saying Verbo or VRBO.
Uh,
Every single time my wife corrects me, but I still I just say Verbo or VRBO.
yeah, I'm just surprised they didn't give you a reason. I mean, it seems like that'd be something that's part of their process. That, this is the reason. There was, but
Yeah, I was shocked because they ghosted me. Like I tried out, out to somebody like time and time again, and they just ghosted me.
well, that one worked out either way. That was crazy, man.
Yeah, I know. But
So
I mean, everything happens for a reason, so it's a good story now.
this business has some really good stories. I think every business has good stories, but some of them are not as good.
Yeah,
Oh my lord. The
right.
Well, so you got it. You're in Gator and you're doing your studying just like me. And is there anything you're needing from any other people in the Gator tribe? Any questions you have that maybe you want to bring up um, during this podcast? Anything like that? Any comments?
Um, not really. I did, so I did get this SEO stuff going, and I did have my first appointment that is looking for pretty promising for sub 2. So I had a lot of questions on that. I did get with a lot of people out here in Vegas who helped me with those questions, but I'm still at that stage where I don't know enough about the sub 2 process, and some of these rebuttals that come through, right? About, I am learning now about after 6 months, the DTI drops, and after a year, you can get almost 100% of the DTI knocked off. But yeah, I would say that's one of my biggest hurdles right now is knowing enough about the sub 2 to explain it, to make them, because this guy was like, man, I just don't understand it. I'm really skeptical about that whole process. And I feel like at that time, like if I would have known more, it definitely would have been, I definitely could have presented it better. But
Yeah.
where he's at right now, he decided to just rent the property. which I'm just going to follow up with him because I know this is his first time like renting the full property, right? And he was already losing money before renting it. So now, and he expressed that concern too. He's like, I don't want to rent this and then have a headache with this, and then they don't not pay me, and then now I'm in a worse situation. So, but I feel like if I would have known better or how to present it better, that I could have saved him and me. But everything went the way that it had to go, and
yeah, I'm having some issues trying to present too. I think I'm making it too complicated. And it's funny you bring up the DTI because Pace had a good Zoom on Friday about DTI, because one of my concerns, and I hadn't even asked the question, was, well, some of these people, they, when you do DTI, I keep hearing like, yeah, you need to build up like 3 or 4 months worth of payments, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll start coming up. And then, you can get them a DTI letter, or at least the lender can get one because you've got proof of paying. But what about the people who like, I'm buying another house, I need all my money, and there's a solution in there.
Oh, wow.
And
whoa.
I'll get you that information.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah. Dang.
Okay. It was a surprise to Pace, and it was just, we're all still learning.
Wow.
Coming from a loan officer over in North Carolina that he had done an interview with, and he said, no, that's not true. This is all you need to do. And everyone was like, what? That's it?
What? Dude, that's awesome. I'm excited about that.
I can text it or email it to you. And again, it's in the Word transcription, and it's going to be like, well, where is it? Near the bottom, but I'll try and work on it for you and maybe get it to you tomorrow. But I'll send it to you tonight, and then maybe if you can't figure it out or see it.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. They when I first heard about DTI, I'm like, I was searching. Where's the DTI letter? Where's the DTI letter? No, it's because we don't do it. The lender does it. And okay, makes sense. All right, that panic attack faded. So good. Well, we all just have to keep asking questions and connecting with people, and everyone's full of little bits of pieces here and there that you'll say something and they're like, yeah, I know that answer. And oh, well, that's great. And we got to help each other. And, we help our clients too, out of their situations. And, I'm over here, I don't know what the market's like in Las Vegas. Is it kind of cooled, or is it still kind of chugging along?
Yeah, I would say cooled for sure. Just in my short experience, with being out here, I feel like it's cooled.
Okay. Yeah, Atlanta's still snapping because, they're just, I don't know what they're doing in Las Vegas, but over here in Atlanta, they only are building apartments. They're building McMansions. They're building 3-story townhomes, which I don't know who would want one of those. I mean, we're talking 3 flights of stairs. I mean,
Yeah, right.
It's just weird. And so people are just desperate to find an affordable home. And that means anything under 300 over here, with the interest rates. I keep hearing all these, I don't know what you think about interest rates. I'm not sure. I don't even have an opinion right now. But I heard some people say like, yeah, they're going to be going down next year. And I'm just going, I don't see how. But again, this whole economy doesn't make real sense to me. Nope. I was an economist, and I took some economics in college, but I'm not that astute on it. But still, it's kind of like, this shouldn't be happening. Interest rates are up. Home prices are up in Atlanta. That doesn't work on paper.
Yeah. Right. So. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, I think what was it, like the average, the median mortgage is about like 40. It's like 39% of the average income. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing is like, okay, so one of 2 things have to happen. Either income has to come up, or home pricing has to come down. And it's like,
I don't see income coming up.
Exactly. Exactly.
I know
Exactly.
there's people out there with visions of communities of. I think they have a community of tiny homes up in north of Atlanta. But I mean, I would go insane in one of those. They're so small.
Yeah.
I don't see why people would move into it. I don't want a toilet that I have to take stuff out because I'm composting it. That's not really how I want to live.
Right. Right.
Um,
Oh man.
prefabricated, kind of like ultra modern looking. They look cool. Um, these homes that they'll install them, kind of like what are they called? ADUs out in
Yeah.
California.
ADU. Yeah. Yeah.
ADUs. But again, they're all like one bed, one bath, or two bed, one bath. A few are larger, but of course they're more expensive. And some of the prices on these prefabricated homes are just like that's not reasonable yet. And people talking about printing, 3D printing homes, but
Yeah.
that technology is not there yet. I mean, it looks like
Man.
they're pouring concrete out of this nozzle and it's going around. It's just like, oh God, I don't want to live there. And then what was it? I saw one about a guy who was doing compacted earth. You got to have special type of earth. He was doing this up in Canada, and they mix it with concrete. You get all these
Yeah.
crazy designs in it. I
Oh
wasn't
wow.
thrilled with the crazy designs, but it's fireproof. It's strong. It was very
Yeah.
interesting. I have no idea what the cost is on that one either. Is it affordable? I don't know. That house didn't look like something you would see a family for the first time, your average family moving into.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your opinion on that? Where do you think it's going to go? If wages aren't going up?
Man. I mean, I sold everything for a reason. That's just my bet is that something's gonna happen. Something's gonna create the market to fall. That's just my gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, we'll find out. But and that's kind of why I stopped buying and I kind of got out of everything. And that's why I'm more so now focused on the wholesaling side.
Yeah.
So I did a few of those out of the 25 that I've done, but as of right now, with that, my feeling with the market, that's kind of where I'm like, well, kind of less risk that way if you wholesale it to somebody else.
Yes.
But
You don't get the glory of the renovation, but I've done a few assignments this year, some wholesaling, which to me they're completely different things. You can ask me later.
yeah,
I'll explain what it means.
okay.
So let me just get my glasses on. All right. This is actually great. I used to have terrible vision. I was blind as a bat. Now I'm okay.
Really?
Yeah, I had LASIK done. And
Okay. I was gonna say, sometimes you hear the people that have like the miraculous, their vision comes back.
not mine.
Yeah.
Wearing glasses since third grade, and it just got worse. And then
Yeah.
I decided to take the plunge, and I wake up every day going like, I can't believe this. I can see the leaves on the trees, but my doctor, he said, you're going to need reading glasses. It's going to happen. Are you okay with that? I'm like, yes. If I can see across the street clearly, if I can drive a car without my glasses,
yeah,
and not kill people, I'm fine with it. Yeah, absolutely fine.
That's awesome.
All right, John. Well, I think we're at the end, and I appreciate you showing up and telling us all your stories and giving us your opinions. Very
Awesome. Yeah.
Very interesting. I would certainly like to talk to you some more.
Yes, sir. Had a great time.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate you. So we're going to say bye, and we will see everyone later.